welcome to BioTown. In today's video, we'll be talking about Chapter 9, Strategies for Enhancement in Food Production. This is a very easy chapter, very interesting chapter. Come on, let's get inside the chapter. So first, this chapter is Strategies for Enhancement in Food Production. What is strategies? So strategies means the various techniques which we incorporate into something. Enhancement, to produce in food production. So here we're going to learn the different steps and the methodologies to improve the food production. Basically, we're all biology students, isn't it? There are vegetarians and non-vegetarians. So this chapter is basically implied with the vegetarians in terms of milk and egg, and the non-vegetarian in terms of meat. Okay, so first we'll talk about animal husbandry. What is animal husbandry? Animal husbandry is nothing but you grow the animal, you rear the animal. Why do you grow the animal? For their economic importance. So that is what you call it to be the animal husbandry. You make the animal to breed and produce important genetically variant animals. So that is what you call it to be animal husbandry. So first we have three important points under animal husbandry. One is breeding and raising of a livestock. What do you do? Breeding is making them reproduce, and raising of a livestock, you feed them. Next is poultry farming. What is poultry farming? You have to grow and rear the birds. Okay, poultry basically deals with birds. Okay, livestock basically deals with cows, the cattle, lambs, sheep, goat, all of them. Now next is fisheries. So what is fisheries? We all know fishes are favorite, isn't it? Be it an ornamental fish, be it an edible fish. So we tend to rear the fishes also. That's what we call it to be fisheries. Now next, this is a very important statistical data. 70% of the world's livestock is from India and China. But the controversial thing is that though 70% of the world's livestock is from India and China, but we contribute only 25% to the world. Okay, just because we contribute only 25% to the world, it's very important that we have to improve our poultry production, we have to improve our livestock production, and that is why you have this chapter called Strategies for Enhancement of Food Production. So first, in this video we'll be talking about two managements. One is a dairy farm management. In dairy farm, basically we deal with milk and meat. Okay, and in poultry farm we basically deal with egg and meat. Okay, so here poultry farm, it's egg and meat. Here it's dairy farm, meat and milk. Okay, so first, what are the important things that you have to do in a dairy management? So first you have to look after the cattle. So what you have to do, it is not only necessary that it's not only important thing that you just grow the cattle, but the very important thing is that you have to look after the cattle. Okay, you have to grow them, you have to check whether they are infected with any diseases, are they eating properly, are they growing properly, is there any malfunctioning of the dairy farming system. So you have to check about all that. Next, you have to feed the cattle. So feeding of a cattle, providing food to the cattle is a very important strategy. So you have to provide the food for the cattle not only qualitatively but also quantitatively. You have to provide them whatever they need, isn't it? You should give them whatever they need, both be it a qualitative process and also a quantitative process. Then cleanliness and hygiene is very important. Okay, so rearing the cattle, and also you have to check whether, for example, if you have to check whether the udder is clean, whether their private parts are clean. So that's very important in rearing of a cattle. So you have to maintain the cleanliness, whether the milk utensil is properly washed. Okay, so all of that you have to see. Next is regular inspection. So you have to bring a veterinary doctor towards the cattle and you have to make them a regular checkup, especially if it is a female. Okay, so that's what is dairy farm management. Then we'll move on to poultry farm management. So poultry farm, as I told you, rearing them for their eggs and their meat. Okay, so you rear chickens, ducks, turkeys and geese. Okay, so now we'll talk about the important points how to rear them. So first is selection of disease free breeds. So in order to set up a poultry farming, it is not very important that you have to have a collection of n number of breeds, but what is very important is that you have to select a breed which is much of disease resistance and disease free breed. Next is safe from conditions. For example, you cannot set up a poultry farm right after a dense forest, isn't it? Then there'll be a lot of predators, be it snakes, be it the other predators. They come to forage on these animals. So it is very important that you find a very safe place. So if at all you tend to put it next to a forest or you put it next to a rural area, it is very much important that you fence them properly. Then proper feed. As I told you, proper feed, be it a qualitative process or a quantitative process, you have to feed them properly. Next is health and hygiene. So in between you have to get up a veterinary doctor and you have to come and make them do a regular checkup. Next we'll talk about breeding. So what is breeding? You make them copulate. Okay, you make them reproduce. So why do you have to make these species reproduce? So when you make these species reproduce, what is that? You get a progeny out of these species. So what is the use of these progenies? These progenies basically help in providing food as well as the economically important products. So modification of their genotype. For sure, when there is a copulation of two important organism, there's going to be a genetically variant species. So that is what we are going to talk about here to increase and improve the yield. So next video, what are we going to study is that we're going to talk about the different types of breeding. So if you want to take a screenshot, you're most welcome.